Arik Armstead, spoke about Lance. You and I, Jesse, have kind of lamented the fact that none of his teammates really back him up or have. I mean, really, the last couple of years, how many of his teammates have come out and said something nice about Lance other than he's a good kid?
Not a lot. I mean, you had the only two I can think of were Fred Warner his rookie year with the unsolicited press conference where he's like, yeah, you know, Trey's looking really good and he's giving us great looks and yeah, all those things. And then
I gave him the right mindset, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
He was being a little tentative, but I was like, hey, man, you got to rip it. And then he did, and now he's good. So, yeah, you know, that's no big deal. Sorry, I love you.
Then the other one was Trent Williams before, I think, even the first actual training camp. He's like,
yeah,
this kid's going to be special. And that was it.
But Fred, I feel like Trent says whatever. He's
Yeah.
like, you're paying me how much money? What do I got to say? Cool, we do that.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, okay, there was those two, but mostly there was like a lot of silence. And it's over. The silence is over. George Kittle, to his credit, has made it a point to say as many positive things about football as they pertain to Trey Lance as he could this offseason. He's improved. He's confident. Okay, here's what Arik Armstead said recently to Kay Adams on NFL Network. Quote, I've seen a young guy come in and really start to mature. You got to remember that Trey is still really extremely young and didn't have much experience, and the more experience you stack, the better you are. I think that he's had a tremendous OTAs and looked very well. You know, I'm really excited for him and his career, and so I think the sky is the limit for Trey, and I think he's an extreme talent that just needed to stack up those reps. I mean, it might sound just like boilerplate teammate talk, but this is the kind of stuff you didn't hear about Trey Lance the last couple of years. Coming from Arik Armstead, I think it holds weight. And real quick, before I get your take, the way I see it is that when they brought Trey in, this was a veteran team that was confused. It was like, hold on. You're giving us a 21-year-old quarterback and we're supposed to... There's never been a 21-year-old Super Bowl winning quarterback. What the hell's going on? So maybe they felt like they were confused or like the rug was pulled out from underneath them. But now that 2 years have passed and he's been sort of unfairly scapegoated and cast aside, I think a lot of vets look at him and are like, okay, I sympathize. And he's kept his head up and look at him now. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a different feeling about this, Grant. The way that I see it is you've got a team that likely knows he's not going to be the starter. And so now they're willing to throw all the compliments his way because they don't have to play with him. It's kind of the way that I see it. It's almost like, okay, yeah, we've done enough, like kind of kicking the kid while he's down. Let's lift him up a little bit. But ultimately, we know he's not our starter and we can just kind of bypass it. And it is what it is. That's not, and it's not, I'm not trying to say like they're being malicious about it, but it's nice to say things now. But where were these comments when you were supposed to ride with the guy, when he was supposed to be the starter? Where were these comments? Why weren't these things coming out then? Go ahead.
Let me try to push back because, you know, me and Arik Armstead really close, get along. I always see things from his perspective.
Yeah.
So is it possible?
You guys are like pen pals.
Like this. Okay. So is it possible, like from Arik's perspective, you know, Arik has made it clear he always liked Jimmy. The vets always liked Jimmy. Anyone that was on the team in 2017 is all in with Jimmy. Brock's not Jimmy. Jimmy's like 31, 32 years, almost 32 years old. And I think a lot of the vets felt like, hey, it is not his fault. He's our leader. He's our veteran. He's our guy. Okay, you push him out. Fine. I don't think that just because all of Jimmy Garoppolo's fans are now on the Brock Purdy bandwagon doesn't mean that Jimmy Garoppolo's supporters in the locker room are on the Brock Purdy bandwagon. I mean, Kittle is because like Purdy spoon-fed him 5 or 6 touchdowns in the red zone. But from Armstead's perspective, he could be saying, man, I look at 2 23-year-old quarterbacks coming off injury. One guy had a nice little run. Other guy hasn't really had a chance. I mean, I'm not picking sides. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be possible. I also think the other thing is this. What they're saying is not untrue from the standpoint that, oh, yeah, he was 21 years old when he came into the league, and he's now 23. He's basically just now the same age that Brock was when he played last year.
Yeah, he can still be considered a rookie at this point.
Right,
yeah.
and right. He is improving just like most people would as they
like. I think
age
Kalen Laburn is older than Trey. Sorry to keep.
Yeah.
But
he is. No,
there are rookies on this team older than Trey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I don't think they're saying things that are untrue. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if I should buy into everything they're saying. If maybe it's both. Maybe it is true, but also they think Purdy should be the starter. I think both things could be true. It seems a little weird now that he's likely not going to be the starter, and now you've got all these amazing things to say about Trey Lance. It's like, I don't know. He could have used that last year.
Agree. But let me keep trying here, because I don't know why I'm advocating for Arik Armstead and George Kittle, two people who probably don't want me to cover the team. But in fact, I know they don't want me to cover the team. But that's neither here nor there. Is it possible that they felt? I think I lost my train of thought. Is it possible that they felt that Trey Lance? The most they could say that was nice about Lance the first 2 years was he's got a ton of potential. And I know he's saying the sky's the limit. But now I feel like the vets on the team, 30-year-olds looking at a 23-year-old, are saying essentially, okay, he's gone through fire. Okay, he's a grown-up now. Okay, he has my respect. Is that not what they're saying? It doesn't necessarily mean we think he's our best quarterback, but it's essentially saying, man, this dude was really young, really green when he came to this team. He was not prepared to just take over and take Jimmy's job and win the Super Bowl from our perspective. But now he's a grown-up. He's a grown man, and that's saying something because we got a bunch of young dudes in our quarterback room.
Yeah, I think that it is definitely possible he's earned their respect because he really has gone through hell. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
Coming into a team that clearly wanted Jimmy, not that they didn't want Trey, but they wanted Jimmy. Like, that much was clear. Then he finally gets a start. When he gets the start, he breaks his leg. His job gets lost. He really hasn't had the opportunity to prove himself. And they're probably like, yeah, I mean, just on a personal level, I feel bad. Armstead, of all people, by the way, it doesn't surprise me that this comes from him, because Armstead really seems to have Kinlaw's back. And I know that they play on the defensive line together.
But there's similar situations.
Exactly.
Similar situations. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so you can't advocate for a guy like Kinlaw and then not advocate for a guy like Trey.
Also, Armstead is an example of a first-round pick who had some injuries early on, didn't light the world on fire, got labeled a bust for not living up to his, top 20 draft status, and then proved everyone wrong. Got the big contract, has all the accolades now, and he can look at this from a perspective of, hey, don't write off Javon. Don't write off Trey. People wrote me off. Look at me now. I'm rich as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone loves me. I'm a huge success. I think Trey could be that too. I think it carries a lot of weight coming from him, Arik.
Yeah, I also think, truthfully, when you look at Lance and you hear the things that he says and all these other people, all the other teammates seem to say and the coaches, this finger injury was really significant. It really did mess with his mechanics. It messed with him even having the ability to throw a spiral or pronate, as a coach on the team would say. And so when you put all that into perspective, it's like, yeah, maybe he didn't impress because he really was going through some things. And now he's finally healthy. He's matured. Third year in the league. He knows who he is. He's comfortable in his skin. And he is starting to impress. I don't know. I think all the above
start from the bottom. True. He has to fight his way up, crawl his way up from the bottom. It may not be fair, but the NFL isn't fair. Brock Purdy did his thing. You got to give him credit. Trey gives him credit. And that just sets the bar high. So now, Trey, you gotta match it. Like it's like the other day when I did 10 pull-ups at the gym and then Rich did 16. Like, I gotta come back and do 17. That's on me. Right. And I will. Yeah. Rich, I'm coming for you, baby. It's not that was my second set that day. I'm coming for you. All right. So that's how Trey's mindset should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should be a thank you, Brock. Thank you for bringing the best out of me. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't think, and that's the cool thing about all of this is, the fan base is clearly split on this whole thing, and the media split and all these other things. But
and the Trey fans hate the Brock fans, and the Brock fans hate the Trey fans.
Yeah. But I think Trey and Brock are actually legitimately cool with each other, and I think they genuinely
just like Trey
care
and Jimmy
about each other and support each other. Yes.
That's why, like, Jimmy was most likely like, Trey, before they run you out of town and ruin your career, why don't you go see my throwing coach, dog? I don't know that for a fact, but it just seems like it probably happened. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it was that nefarious, but maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.